So like I mentioned earlier, whatever you do on the left side is the same thing you do on the right side. So I've done one here, so I went ahead to do the second one. All you just have to do is, you have the dots already, all you have to do is connect them. And for the feet, you just do this. There's really no measurement for that. Just go ahead and do something like this, then curve it. But most times I just like to try different things until I'm okay with the feet. But it's something like this. Then you go in for the second one too, as if you want to draw a triangle, but you know it's not a triangle like that. But you can just curve it anyhow you want it so it stands. But let's go to the upper part, which, so this part is already done. We now have to work on the under bust, the bust, and the arm. So from the shoulder to the bust to the hip, sorry, we divided it into 3 so we can get the bust. And this is 1, 2, 3. The first line is the bust. Now this is the second line here. Please just listen well, you would get it. It might look a bit confusing because we have a lot of lines right now, but it's still simple. Now this is the second line when we divided our shoulder to hip into 3 parts. This is the first line, this is the second line. 1, 2, 3. Now this is the second line. Now from your bust, this bust line, to this second line, you divide it again into 3, and we have 222 cms. It was 6 cm before. Now we divided it into 3. That means we have 2 cm here, we have 2 centimeters here, and we have 2 centimeters here. Now from here to here, which definitely is 2 centimeters, we divide it into 3 again. And after dividing it into 3, this is the line I got. All you just have to do is 2 divided by 3, place your ruler here and mark it out. So that's just it. Now that line is your under bust. The line that you get is your under bust. So I'm just trying to get it to be straight from here. Now I have drawn that line. This is it, and that line is my under bust, line. Now my shoulder line, this is why I said we should label it so we do not have to keep searching for what is what. Now on this shoulder line, this point, I'll go in by ½ centimeter, not 1, ½ centimeter. From this point, I'd go in by half. Then from that half, I'll draw a straight line to reach my under bust. What I'm trying to do is to draw my bust guide. Now remember that in all these things that you'll be drawing, please use faint lines, because we are still going to erase color, and do all sorts on it. So you really do not want thick lines there. So you do the same thing, like I said, whatever you do here, you do here. So you do the same thing that we have done here. Go in from this point here. Go in by ½ centimeter, not ½ inch, please, ½ centimeter. Then draw a straight line to give you your guide. So I'll just pause this and do that. Okay, so I've gone ahead to do that, and I've actually traced out my breast. but I'll explain what I did here. So I just, I drew my guide just the same way I did here. Half centimeter, half centimeter, draw a straight line to your under bust. It's very simple. Then I just left a small space, which means she's not busty, but for people who are busty, it might actually there might be no space in between both breasts, but because we are actually drawing a slim model, not a plus size model, so I just left a small space, curved this part like this, then used my guide to trace it back to our shoulder. So it's nothing hard, just like this. Look, left a small space, did something like this, curve, then a straight, so you have something like this. Now you should not paint yours like this, obviously, because you might not even need this when you want to, because the breast will not be showing outside of the body when you want to, but you just have to know how to do it. So this is what we have. Now on this hip line, measure half centimeter again. From this point, measure half centimeter. I'll tell you why. Then on this point too, measure half centimeter, like that. Do we get it? Now from this guide that we drew, not this original one, from this guide, put your ruler like this and make sure your ruler is touching that half centimeter that you drew on the hip. Now we want to draw the arm, so from that guide, make sure it is touching that half centimeter you indicated on the hip line, then draw a straight line. Draw a straight line. This might probably be too much, but just draw it with erase. Do the same thing for the other side. Like I said, so this is already becoming a mantra. Whatever you do on the left, do on the right. So now that we've drawn our straight line, this waistline, where this inverted triangle and this triangle is connecting, that is our waistline. So you can just draw a broken line like this. Draw a broken line like this. Now if you notice, your elbow is always sitting around your waist. Your elbow would always sit around your waistline. Now this is meaning that this is where we would have our elbow. Now whatever you have from your shoulder to your elbow is the same thing you'd have from your elbow to your wrist. The same measurement you have from your shoulder to your elbow is the same measurement you have from your elbow to your wrist. So you can just go ahead and measure whatever you have from your shoulder to your elbow. So for me, I have 3.7. So meaning that from this elbow down to my wrist, I must have 3.7 here. So the same thing for this other side. Whatever you do for the left, you do for the right. So I've indicated that part. Now on this line, on this waist region where I'm going to have my elbow, I'll draw a circle like this on both sides. Just try and make sure that the circle is almost the same size. And then on the wrist, I'll draw a smaller circle, smaller than this one. So I have something like this. Just try and make it similar. Now we're going to join it together from this point, not from our guide. Now from this original point, you do this, you connect it to that circle. Do the same thing here, the original one, not the guide, this original one. Connect it to the circle and connect this point also back to somewhere around the bust here, like this. So you do the same thing for this part. Connect it around the bust. And most times I measure it so that I would have the same measurement. So you can go ahead and measure yours too if you want. So you have something like this. So let me repeat what I've said. From this original elbow line, you connect it to the circle, not the guide, the original elbow line. Then the other part, you connect it to somewhere around the bust region. Then you do something like this, like what we did here. Just bring it out a bit, just a bit. Doesn't have to be so much. And connect that part to the circle. Connect to the circle like this. Then connect, do the same thing for this other side, and connect here too. So we have something like this. Then for your hand, you draw something like 2 triangles like this. You do the same thing for this part. Like that. So I think this is longer than this. I'll just so this is it. Our body is almost, our model's body is almost ready. Then on this head part, you know, we have a box there that we've drawn and then we left that part. You divide it into two. We have just 1 inch here, so dividing it into 2 means you'd have 0.5, means you'd have 0.5 here, just like this. So from that 0.5 to this point, you divide it again into 2 and you have something like 0.25. Somewhere here. So what you do is, this other one will be somewhere here. You do something like this. like an oval shape. So you have the head, you have the head of the model, and then you have the neck, which you definitely connect back to your shoulders like this. So you have something like this. Let me just clean this. Now I'm going to explain what I did. Alright, this is not, we'll probably just redo it. I'll redo both of them again. Now let me explain what I did here again, starting from the arm, because I know it can be quite confusing. From that point where we have, from this particular point where we have the guide, you bring out, you measure ½ inch from your hip. So you connect your guide to that ½ inch, straight line. Then where you have your waist is most likely where you have your elbow. Your elbow sits around your waist. So you draw a circle, and your shoulder to your elbow is the same measurement as your elbow to your wrist. So you measure that and you measure that here, and you draw another circle around your wrist. So you, from this line, from this original shoulder, you connect it to this circle you've drawn around the elbow. You do the same thing for this side and connect it also back to your wrist. Then have something in form of the hand here. And I said for the head, you divide it into two. You divide the rectangle into two. From that two, you divide it again into two, and you use it to form this shape, the shape of the head, more like an oval shape, not circle, please. The head is, well, depending on, I know that we have different types also, but for this particular croquis we are using oval. So the shape of the head would be oval, and we have this. So then you have your, what's it called, you have this neck. Most times the neck is always found around where you have the mid part of the eye. How do I explain? The eye is supposed to be sitting here. Now when I divided this rectangle into two, that line, this line, is where the eyes would be. Assuming we are going to fix facials, we're not going to fix facials here, but this is where the eyes is supposed to be, here. So it is in between, that you'd have this neck part. That is where you'd have this neckline that I'm putting. So you can just guess that, you can just decide to guess that, oh, the mid part of the eye should be around this side. So you have this neck point here. So the next video would be fleshing out this particular croquis, and then would have our shoulder. We'll clean all these lines. We have to clean all these lines, make it look like a real body, have our real fingers. Then we can start to paint the body, then also draw a dress on this croquis. So this would be the end of the first video, where I'll be showing you how to draft or how to draw a croquis. The next one would be how to flesh out the croquis. Thank you.